Srimati Radharani, and right now the deities are being dressed. No, but we're going to see Radhashtami, which will be the same day, I think. So 7:45, so the curtain, and we'll have opportunity to glorify Radharani. So I want to speak a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, where Srila Prabhupada, our Guru Maharaj, directly talks about the divine qualities of Radharani. Om Aginatamurandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshanatam Yanatasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sapatam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Danti Samvedantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatapatakamalo Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Shajivam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Varam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishavitam Cha He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopikanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanta Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sudadevi Pranamani Haripriye Vanchakalpa Drubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vijaya Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya This is Canto 2, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 3. It's called Pure Devotional Service, text number 23. So please, we can repeat all together. Jivan Chavo Bhagavat Angri Renam Najatu Macha Bilabite Yastu Sri Vishnu Padya Manujas Tulasya Swasan Chavo Yastuna Veda Gandham Jivan Chavo Bhagavatangriya Renam Najatamacha Bilipiteyastu Shri Vishnu Padya Manujastalasya Swasanchavo yastu naveda kandam. English translation. The person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body. And the person who has never experienced the aroma of the tulsi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, although breathing. Please repeat. The person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body. And the person who has never experienced the aroma of the tulsi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, although breathing. So, in this translation, it's mentioned that human being who has not taken the dust from the lotus feet of the advanced devotees upon his head is certainly a dead body. So we're propagating the worship of Krishna, Radha Krishna, the worship of Ramchandra, Sitaram, and Shingadev, the worship of Jagannath. But here it is mentioned that rather than the Lord's devotee, rather than going for the dust of God himself, for the mercy of God himself, we request, we pray for the mercy or the dust. Dul, it means dust, or the remnants of the pure devotee. When we offer the prasad, you see all that beautiful prasad on the altar? You were looking at it, samosas and kachoris. I was looking at it. So that is called, we offer it to Krishna. And it is called prasad, or when it's directly offered to the Lord, it is called Maha Prasad. But now we have something else called Maha Prasad. And what is Maha Prasad? It's prasad that is offered to the Lord, so that's Maha Prasad. Then it's offered to the pure devotee. And then it becomes Maha, double. So in the Adi Purana also there is that wonderful verse. One who says they are my devotees, Krishna is speaking, they're not my devotees, but rather those that say they are the devotees of my devotees are my devotees. Ye me bhakti prachajana. So there are so many devotees of the Lord. There are mixed devotees, and that's all of us. We're all beginning devotees. We're called mixed devotees. Mishra means mixed. In other words, we accept Krishna as God, but we also have many other attachments, and we also have many other goals other than pure devotional service. So we're it's called neophyte devotees or Kanishta Bhaktas. But to be a beginning devotee or a Kanishta Bhakta is a great achievement. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says one needs great mercy to be even the Kanishta Bhakta. So we're in that category. And then gradually, as we chant and as we worship Krishna and as we make spiritual advancement, we come to what is called Madhyam stage. Madhyam means middle. And Madhyam, by definition, is a pure devotee, free of all material desires. No desire for philosophical speculation, And this is given as a definition, Yabilasita Sunyam Jnana Kamana Avritam, in Rupa Goswami's Netra devotion. So Madhyam devotee, middle class, is very advanced. But you can go beyond that Madhyam to the high class devotee, which is the number one devotee. And this is called the Mahabhagavad. The Mahabhagavats are very, very advanced. Extremely. They're on the toppest level, the Mahabhagavad. So there are Mahabhagavats in Vaikuntha, like Dhruva Maharaj, like Prahlad Maharaj. These are all Mahabhagavats. Prahlad is the Mahabhagavat and the great devotee of Nrsimhadev. Dhruva is the great Mahabhagavat, and even he has a planet named after him called Dhruvaloka. He's pure devotee. But more than pure devotee, because a Madhyama is a pure devotee. No, he's a Mahabhagavat. And then we have Mahabhagavat devotees in Ayodhya. And that would be Hanuman, Angada. These are pure devotees. Angada took birth in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes as Purandara Pandit 500 years ago. And he's an associate of Lord Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda came to a village, and there was this great devotee, Purandara Pandit. And you know where he was? He was up a tree. Because in Ram Leela, he's Angada. He's a monkey. So he was up a tree. And then he jumped down from the tree and started engaging in kirtan with Lord Nityananda. He's one of the eternal branches of Lord Nityananda's mercy. So Mahabhagavat. And then in Ayodhya, Mahabhagavats. So then in Dwarka, also Mahabhagavats. Like Uddhava. Uddhava would be considered the most prominent resident of Dwarka. Then you have the queens in Dwarka. Who are those queens? Rukmini, Kalindi, Mitravina, so many. So they're also Mahabhagavats, highly advanced devotees. Then beyond Dwarka, we come to Vrindavan, Goloka Vrindavan. So in Goloka Vrindavan, they're all Mahabhagavats. They're all the most advanced pure devotees you can imagine. And we start with those in Dasya Ras, the servants of Krishna, like Madhubrata, Madhukanta. Madhubrata is a servant of Krishna in Vrindavan, and he took birth as Vasudev Dutt. And Vasudev Dutt prayed to take the karma of all the conditioned souls on his head. So these are great Mahabhagavats. We have in Dasyaras, and then we have in Sakyaras, friendship with Krishna, cowhead boys. And so many cowhead boys, Sudama, Sridama, Kalavinka. Actually, there are millions. Actually, that's not even correct. There are billions. That's not even correct. There are trillions. There are trillions of cowhead boys. And they all have different names. Some may even have the same name. So they're all Mahabhagavats. Like one cowhead boy called Subal. And he took birth as Gauridas, another associate of Lord Nityananda. So they all took birth 500 years ago with Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. So many Mahabhagavats are in Sakyaras, friendship. And then above that, there are Mahabhagavats in Vatsalyaras, parental love. And the number one is Mother Yasoda. Mother Yasoda is number one. And then it goes to Nanda Maharaj. Also Sandapani Muni. These are all in Vatsalyaras, parental affection for Krishna. And they're all Mahabhagavats. So step by step we're going higher and higher. Now we get to Madhurya Ras, conjugal love with Krishna. There are Mahabhagavats. And these are gopis. They have spiritual bodies, not material bodies. And there are billions and billions and billions of gopis. And out of all of them, 16,108 are prominent. And out of those, 16 are prominent. And out of those, 8. 8. And out of those, 2, Chandravali and Radharani. And out of those 2, who is the most prominent, famous, advanced, special? Radharani. Chandravali is an expansion of Radharani. They are Shakti Tattva, not Jiva Tattva. We're all Jiva Tattva. But these associates in the spiritual world are called Shakti Tattva. So Radharani is the most exalted devotee of Krishna. So we could say she's the topmost Maha Bhagavad. So we're interested in taking the dust from the Maha Bhagavats. So that very much includes taking the dust of Srimati Radharani. So now let me read what Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master, says. A pure devotee never approaches the Lord directly. You know, I was mentioning. We approach the devotee of the devotee of the devotee. So the pure devotee never approaches the Lord directly, but tries to please the servants of the Lord's servants, and thus the Lord becomes pleased. And only then can the devotee relish the taste of the tulsi leaf stuck to his lotus feet. In the Brahma Samhita it is said that the Lord is never to be found by becoming a great scholar of Vedic literature, but is easily approached by his pure devotees. In other words, you may study and study and study, but if you have no bhakti, then shrama eva kevalam, it's useless. You have to have the devotion. And if you have a lot of devotion, but you may be illiterate, doesn't matter. You still go back to the spiritual world. We have many devotees in our congregation, who perhaps didn't do their matric, perhaps didn't read Bhagavad Gita, and perhaps didn't read Srimad Bhagavatam carefully, because they're not able to read and understand philosophy. But they have a lot of devotion. They have bhakti. So that is what? Bhakti mama bhajananti. It is only by bhakti. So Prabhupada is making the point. Simply by dry philosophical study, that's not good enough. But rather you have to have bhakti. And the example is the gopis again in Vrindavan. Are they great scholars of Vedanta? Have they studied Nyaya, logic? Or are they simple cowherd girls? Simple cowherd girls. But they're pleasing Krishna more than the great Vedic Vedantists. So he's never to be found by becoming a great scholar, but he is very easily approached through his pure devotees. In Vrindavan, all the pure devotees pray for the mercy of Srimati Radharani, the pleasure potency of Lord Krishna. Srimati Radharani is the tender-hearted, feminine counterpart of the Supreme Whole, resembling the perfectional stage of the worldly feminine nature. Therefore, the mercy of Radharani is available very easily to the sincere devotees. And once she recommends such a devotee to Lord Krishna, the Lord at once accepts the devotee's admittance into his association. So Srimati Radharani is the expansion of Krishna. Krishna has many energies. There are material energies and there are spiritual energies. Material energies would include earth, water, fire, air, ether. In physics, there are so many elements. I don't know how many, I think perhaps 120. So these are all material elements. You're sitting on marble, that's a material element. You're breathing air, that's a material element. You're wearing clothing, silk or cotton, it's a material element. But there are also spiritual elements. So there is 3 Satchit Ananda, That verse, very famous, I think we all know. We can say, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sakchit Ananda Vigraha Anadya Govinda Sava Karana Karanam. Krishna is the supreme Ishvara, controller. And Vigraha, he has a body which is eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. So the words are Sat, Chit, Ananda. So Sat means eternality. It actually means Samdini Shakti. And Chit means knowledge. It's called Samvit Shakti. And the last one, Ananda. What does Ananda mean? Bliss, happiness, pleasure, Ananda. So technically it's called Ladini Shakti. So in the spiritual world, these energies become persons. So Krishna has an energy, it's called pleasure, pure pleasure potency. And this pleasure potency, which is technically called Ananda or Ladini potency, becomes a person. And then this energy which becomes a person starts to talk to Krishna. There's a dialogue. This personification of Ladini Shakti, Ladini Sa praying, it's Radharani. And she starts to speak with Krishna. And they have pastimes. They talk. They dance. Jaukela. They play in the water river Jamuna. So this is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in a fully spiritual body, playing with his own energy. The example is Yata, Arabaka, Swa Pratibimba, Vibrama. Yata, just as Arabaka, a young boy, Pratibimba, shadow or reflection, Swa, his, plays. So Krishna is playing with his own energies. So the example given is Krishna playing with his own energy, which is the gopis, dancing with them, flirting with them, in the water, etc., singing. This is like a young boy, Arabaka, Pratibimba, playing with his own reflection, playing with his own shadow. Sometimes young children at night, they see their shadow and they start dancing and they're playing with their shadow. Or in a mirror, you may dance and you play with your own reflection. So Krishna, when he engages in these pastimes of the gopis, and the most prominent pastime is called Rasa Lila, is simply the Supreme Personality of Godhead playing with his own energy. And this is called the philosophical understanding. This is misunderstood by so many Hindus, by so many atheists. Many Hindus believe that Krishna was some amorous prince who lived 5,000 years ago. And the gopis were simply like some lady, some actress, some above average, beautiful lady, some Bollywood Aishwarya. Let me see if I can get the latest one. Deepaka Pradokena. Is that right? Anyhow, I casually someone tells me or something. So, of course, sannyasi shouldn't know anything about all this. Kareena Kapoor. I got that one right, huh? So, generally the idea is that Krishna was some licentious person living thousands of years ago and having pastimes with ladies. But this is not the fact. Krishna is the Supreme Person. And he's eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. And he expands himself. And I've told you, his pleasure-giving potency is called Ladini Shakti, and that becomes a person. And that person is Radharani. And she takes the form of a young girl, 14 years, 2 months, and 15 days old. And she's extremely beautiful. But what attracts Krishna is not her apparent beauty, it's her devotion. It's the devotion that attracts Krishna. And then Radharani expands herself as Lalita. Another name of Lalita is called Anu Radha. Anu means one who follows. It's the first expansion. Then further expansion is Vishaka. Then another Champakalata. And another Chitradevi, Sudevi, Tungavijaya, Induleka, Chandravali, Sabya, Padma, Bhadra, Shamala. These are all expansions of Radharani. Then Radharani also expands herself as the queens in Dwarka. Queen Rukmini, Satyabhama, these are queens. And then Radharani further expands herself as the Lakshmis. Well, then Sita. She expands herself. Sita is the expansion of Radharani, just as Ramchandra is the expansion of Krishna. And then she further expands herself in Vaikuntha as Lakshmi, four-handed Lakshmi. These are all expansions of Radharani. So this should be understood. This is called philosophy. We have to understand this. So Krishna dancing with his own shadow. Where's the problem? Should we criticize? Is there any need to criticize? And yet people do, because they don't understand properly. But by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, he's explaining to us this philosophy. So he continues, therefore the mercy of Radharani is available very readily to the sincere devotee. What does sincere mean? According to the dictionary, it means without pretense and without deceit. Pretense means you pretend. You pretend to be more advanced than you are. Deceit. So without pretense and deceit, one is a very sincere devotee. Actually, this word, sincere, is a Latin word. And it comes from S-I-N, sin, and C-E-R-E, cera. And what it means is without wax. So, previously, in the Roman times, sculptors would make sculptures. They would carve out of marble sculptures. And where there was cracks, they would put wax to hide the cracks, to cheat. So without wax means the real thing. So that word sincere came. You didn't know that, did you? So therefore the mercy of Radharani is available very readily to the sincere devotees. And once she recommends such a devotee, Radharani recommends to Lord Krishna, the Lord at once accepts the devotee's admittance into his association. The conclusion is therefore that one should be more serious about seeking the mercy of the devotee than the Lord directly. So we should be more concerned about pleasing and obtaining the mercy of the Lord's devotees than the Lord himself. This is very important. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We're very insignificant. How can we directly approach God? Even you want to approach some mundane politician like Mr. Obama or Mr. Zuma, you can't just drive up to Union buildings, in your 1989 Taz. That's falling to pieces, with stickers all over it, and get out and say, this is me, Mari Mutu. I'm from the 70s. Don't you know Chatsworth and all? Yeah, I've just come here. I've just borrowed my buddy's cap. I've just come here to check out Mr. Zuma. I want to give him some advice. And after that, I'm going to see Mr. Obama. It doesn't work like that. You have to be qualified to see important so-called material people. So We can't just directly see Krishna, Ramchandra, Nrsimhadev, but we have to go through their devotees. So if you want the darshan of Nrsimhadev, you have to go through Prahlad. You have to meditate on Prahlad. You have to become, it's called Anugatya. You have to follow in the footsteps of Prahlad. If you want Ramchandra and Ayodhya, you have to follow in the footsteps of Angada, Hanuman, Lakshmana. If you want to see Krishna in Dwarka, you have to follow in the footsteps of Uddhava, or the queens in Dwarka. And if you want to see Krishna in Vrindavan, you have to follow in the footsteps of the residents. This is clearly described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We have to follow in the footsteps. Therefore, devotees should be more interested in obtaining the mercy of a devotee than the mercy of the Lord himself. So for most of us, we're approaching Srila Prabhupada. He is the resident of Vrindavan, and we're trying to serve him, and we're trying to serve his mission. And as we become more advanced, we can try to approach Radharani and her associates. So this is the philosophy. It has to be understood very carefully. Otherwise, you can think Krishna is an ordinary person. You can think Radharani is an ordinary person, and their pastimes are ordinary. Their pastimes are not ordinary at all. They're completely spiritual. No lust, no anger, no greed. Whereas in the material world, we see the relationship between a man and woman. It's full of politics. I mean, let us be honest, isn't it? You marry, it's full of politics. You have to be careful what you say. And you start off being attached to each other, but then often it goes the other way, and you end up divorcing. And then when the mother-in-law comes on the scene, even more politics. Politics to its highest degree. So in the spiritual world, there's this verse, Janmadesya Yata. The Lord is, the absolute truth is that from which everything emanates. Understand this now. Janmadesya Yata. Bhagavatam 1:1:1. First verse. The absolute truth of Krishna is that from which everything emanates. So we see in this material world, parents with a child. We see in this material world, husband and wife. We see in this material world, paramours. So it has an absolute reality. It has a spiritual counterpart. And that spiritual counterpart is Goloka Vrindavan. So the pure devotee becomes the parent of Krishna. Krishna, God, agrees, I will become your young child. So this is Mother Yasoda playing with Krishna. The Absolute Truth agrees, Krishna agrees to become a cowherd boy. Friendly relationship. And we see in this material world, husband and wife, it's called Swakiya, and also paramour. Paramour relationships. So it also exists in the spiritual world, but in the spiritual world it's completely pure. It's without any inebriety. There's no contamination. It's completely pure. And as I explained, Krishna expands himself as his pleasure-giving potency and jokes with his energies. His energies become people, persons, the cowherd boys. They're all Sarup Shakti, the gopis. So these pastimes should be understood philosophically, properly. So Krishna, he blows his flute. He has Bahapitam Natavara. He has beautiful peacock feather in his mukut. And he blows the flute and he calls the gopis. Nishamya Gitam Tad Anangavardhanam. Anangavardhanam means their minds become bewildered when they hear the sound of Krishna's flute. Because in the sound of Krishna's flute, he's calling each gopi one by one. And how many gopis are there? Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur mentions in his Tika 300 million. And in the Agamas is mentioned 3 billion. So you might think, how is this possible? So many. But by the arrangement of Yoga Maya. Yoga Maya means Krishna's pleasure-giving potency. So they hear this sound, Krishna's flute, and Krishna is calling them, Radhe, Radhe, come, come. In the sound of that flute, Lalita, Lalita, Vishaka, Vishaka, come. Nishamya Gitam Tadanangavadhanam, Vraja Striya, Krishna Gitam Manasa, Striya. These Vrindavan ladies, they immediately become bewildered and they run to where Krishna is, unseen by each other. Unseen by each other, they run to where Krishna is. Where is Krishna? He's on the bank of the Jamuna, Vamsivat. He's perhaps in Govardhan Hill, the bottom. Perhaps he's in Kusum Sarovar or Radhakund. Vrindavan is 2,500 square meters, 2,500 square kilometers. Big place. And practically everywhere, Rasa Leela took place. So all these gopis, they run to where Krishna is on the bank of the Jamuna. So I mentioned 300 million. But the bank of the Jamuna is perhaps what? Half the size of this temple room? Or maybe the whole size of this temple room? So how can 300 million gopis accumulate in one place? It's not possible. But by the arrangement of Yoga Maya, each gopi is thinking, I am just here with Krishna alone. But there's actually 300 million or 3 billion. This is the arrangement of Yoga Maya. So they approach Krishna in a very feminine way, beautifully dressed. And then Krishna, looking at them, he decides he's going to choke. And he asks them, so, you've come here, I wonder why. Now he's just called them by his flute. And they know very well that he's called them. But he says, he responds in a joking way, with a very stern face. Oh, why have you come? So what is the logic behind this? The logic behind this is in a relationship between a man and a woman. A woman always feels amorous love before the man, and she feels it deeper. That's the nature, feminine nature. But when the woman and man meet, the woman always keeps her feelings inside, and it's up to the man to, so to speak, make the first move. Do you understand? I'm comparing it now to this material world. The woman is not aggressive, isn't it? Of course, in the Kali Yuga, you get those aggressive women. They're like sharks. They'll eat you up. But traditionally, think of the Indian traditional woman. Covered, sari, very quiet, very meek. She's not going to make the first move. She's waiting for the man to make the first move. Actually, it is described by Lord Shiva and quoted by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. There are 3 very powerful weapons that a woman has, and that is playing hard to get, repulsing the lover's advances, and being contrary. But these are weapons. Like a woman's tears. It's a weapon. Be careful, men. So the gopis are spiritual personalities. So here they've come, covering their head, looking very shy. But Krishna's called them. So they're expecting Krishna to say something. So what does he say? He rebusses them. He turns them away by saying, oh, why have you come? As if he didn't know. And they remain silent, thinking, what game is he playing now? And then Krishna says, oh, I know, this is all from the 10th canto, chapter 29. I know why you have come. You've come to see the beautiful nature, the beautiful moon shining on the Jamuna. You've come to smell the fragrance of the Kadamba trees, jasmine, Bailey, Chameli, Jui. Isn't it beautiful, this material landscape, this nature? Now you've seen it, you can go home. So this is all from, I mentioned chapter 29, 10th canto, which I personally made a study of. So then the gopis become a little disturbed, but they don't show it. And they look down, covering their heads more. And then Krishna says, it's not good for you to be laid out at night like this. I mean, it's very late at night, and there's many wild animals. There are many ferocious animals, and they can attack you. So it's not safe for you to be out like this. So again, second time now, Krishna is like pushing them away. Because Krishna wants them to start speaking about how they want to be with him, which is contrary to a woman's nature. So Krishna is like reversing the roles. Krishna is being contrary. Krishna is pushing them away. Krishna is repulsing them. See? Whereas usually that's a woman's nature. So then Krishna says, well, another point to understand is that I'm a young boy and you're young girls, you're young ladies. So really it is not appropriate that we meet like this. Now Krishna is preaching from Manu Samhita, rules and regulations. No, it's not good. People will talk. You see? And then Krishna, he lets a bombshell. He says, anyhow, you're all married. And don't you know the highest religious principle, Manu Samhita again, is to always serve your husband, even if your husband is very old, even if he's got disease, even if he has many wives, even if he's poor, even if he's less intelligent, you have to serve your husband. So I really strongly recommend that you go back and serve your husbands. In that section, it's mentioned that one should serve the husband, even though he may be old, diseased. But if the husband is fallen, then one can reject him. This Hindu idea that the wife can never reject her husband is not actually true. If the husband is fallen, then the wife can reject. But only if he's really fallen. Not that he just falls over in the kitchen. And then the wife takes that as an opportunity to get rid of him and kick him out. No, if he's fallen from religious principles, because one should not become a husband, or even a wife, or even a parent, unless one can free one's dependence from the cycle of birth and death. So that's not really a husband. Husband is one who can give shelter in spiritual life. It's understood material shelter is also there. So Krishna made this point, that many of your husbands, they're old, but still you must go and serve them. So I strongly recommend, because it's late at night, because I'm a young boy, you should all go back and serve your husbands. So that's like a bombshell. So now the gopis really don't know whether Krishna is joking or whether he's serious. So they look down on the ground as described, and they make circles with their big toes in the sand, which apparently is what someone does when they're embarrassed. But these circles are like Cupid's circles, because they're out of intense love for Krishna. So then now Krishna goes one step further, and he says, now my dear gopis, please listen carefully. You may have heard that I am God. You may have heard that. And from Gargamuni, they've heard. They don't believe it. The gopis don't believe he's God, because they worship him, they adore him as their lover. But this Aishwarya Gyan is coming from Gargamuni. So then Krishna says, anyhow, even if you do think that I'm God, Your worship of me should be just general worship. Shouldn't be anything special, like conjugal love or anything like that. It should be just general type of love or appreciation. And then he mentions the last one, the sixth thing. Krishna says, and also, again, if you think that I am God, then the best way you worship me is you worship my deity in your house. And you say your prayers in your house. And you offer me food in your house. And this closeness, this proximity to me, that doesn't matter at all. You should just go back. So in this way, he's pushing them away. And they begin to cry. They begin to weep. And they're not sure what to do. Then Krishna, of course, changes his tune, and they engage in Rasa Leela, and they start dancing. Krishna expands himself. For every gopi, he expands himself once. So 300 million expansions. This is God. He can do this. We can't. I've not heard of anyone in Chatsworth or Phoenix. Maybe in Shlanga, I don't know. They say that is a little bit more, expensive area. So maybe in Shlanga or Belito Bay you can expand yourself, but I don't think so. But Krishna can expand. He expands himself for every single gopi. Every single gopi thinks, oh, Krishna is just with me. Because it wouldn't work out if that one gopi saw 300 million other gopis. It wouldn't work out. How can you have intimacy with so many? You imagine a football match, a rugby match. Bafana, across the road, losing as usual. Thousands of people cheering. Where's the intimacy? There's no intimacy. Intimacy means even 3 people is too much, isn't it? Two's company? Even 3 people is too much. Just Krishna and the gopi. Radharani, Lalita, Vishnu. But each gopi is thinking Krishna's just with me. And he's dancing with me. So this is the spiritual world. It's inconceivable. We can't actually understand it with our material logic. But as you chant Krishna's name, you'll begin to understand these things. As you read Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada has given us the authorized Krishna book, the 10th canto. Then you'll gradually begin to understand these higher things. And this is called the ocean of Ras. And it is a vast ocean, fathomless. It is unlimitedly deep. And the jewels, when you go to the ocean, Gaur Govinda Maharaj used to say this, you don't get the jewels on the top. Where are the jewels, the sapphires, the diamonds? Down the bottom. You have to go very deep. So you go deep into bhakti. And Srila Prabhupada has given us this opportunity to go deep into bhakti. Everything we need to know about Radha and Krishna, about these pastimes, about the science of Ras, it is in these books. Prabhupada has carefully given us. Chaitanya Charitamrita. Everything is there. Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srila Prabhupada has given us the process. Serve within the ISKCON mission. Chant Krishna's name. And Srila Prabhupada himself is one of those associates. He is no less. We don't understand him to be a Vaikuntha or Ayodhya. We understand him to be an associate of Bhaktivinoda, Bhaktisiddhanta. That means Goloka Vrindavan. So we're very fortunate to be connected to him as disciples, as grand disciples, as great grand disciples. So we should serve in his mission as best we can, do whatever we can, at the same time try to go deeper into bhakti and understand these higher things which are all available in the course of time. So shortly the curtains will open and we can chant and glorify Srimati Radharani, Radharadhana. You may ask, what should I pray for on this day? This is a very obvious question. What should I pray for on Radhashtami? So we should pray to be engaged in the service of Radharani. We don't want to dance directly with Krishna. That's not actually our mood, but our mood is rather that Radharani and her associates play and dance with Krishna. So we pray to Srimati Radharani that she can inspire us, she can help us, she can guide us on the path of pure devotional service, and that eventually we can enter into Vrindavan and become one of her associates under the guidance of our spiritual master, under the guidance of our Param Guru. Your Param Guru would be Srila Prabhupada. Under their guidance, we want to serve Srimati Radharani, who is serving Krishna. That's how it works. So please take this seriously, and we pray like this. Try to pray with tears in your eyes. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, it is mentioned, Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga Dhyan. Einam Krishna Smaranam Kridam. Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga is the only treasure. Bhakti Yoga means chanting Krishna's name with tears in your eyes. So this means devotion, sincerity. So we try to chant with feeling. Shri Radharanath ki, Jagannath Srimati Balaram ki, Nitai Gaura Hari ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimati Radharani's divine Avubhav appearance day ki jai, Gau Premanandi.